If you clicked on this video, you're probably a webcomic creator or someone who is curious about how indie comic creators make money from their comics. Well, and that's what I'm here to talk about, so let's jump into it. I'm going to start with Webtoon Canvas first, and then touch a little bit on Tapas, which is another platform to post your comic on, and then also some other alternative ways to make money from your comic. So feel free to hop to the chapters that interest you, or just listen to the whole thing while you draw. So first I'm going to walk you through what programs Canvas has at the time of recording this video, the requirements and how to apply for monetization, as well as sharing my own experience having monetized a comic on the platform. Webtoon Canvas has 3 ways to make money on their platform at the time of recording this video: ad sharing, reward ads, and creator rewards on Webtoon Canvas, and I'll start with ad sharing first. If you're unfamiliar with Webtoon Canvas ad sharing program, here's a quick little breakdown. You make the comic, Webtoon puts a small ad at the end of your episode. The page views will then turn into actual money that Webtoon will pay you for once you reach the requirements. So the requirements for ad sharing are that you need to have 1,000 subscribers and then 40,000 page views in a single month. How long does it take to be approved once you meet those requirements? It probably varies, but mine was about a month after I met the requirements and I applied, which you have to actually apply for once you meet those requirements. It's not an automatic thing. Hooking up your payment options. From my own experience, you have just Patreon and PayPal as options, and I chose Patreon because I had already had my Patreon hooked up to my account, and so it was a really simple click and boom, and then we wait. You can check your analytics on the dashboard to see how many page views you're getting per month. And the 21st of the following month will show you how much you made the previous month. So in my first month of my comic being monetized on Webtoon, it earned a dazzling $11.87. That was with about 40,000 page views in September 2021, and I don't know if that's a high or a low number. I can only guess that ad revenue on Webtoon probably works similar to the way YouTube ad revenue is, where there's like certain seasons that are higher payout rate for ads and stuff. So, but I don't work for Webtoon, so. My second month monetized went a little better. My comic had gained more traction, so it earned $27.10 with about 75,000 page views for that month. And my third month gave me an absolute heart attack because Fairy Lantern had gotten on the recommendations feed somewhere. And so with 175,000 page views for that month, my comic earned $91.88. So in the 3 months of being monetized on Webtoon Canvas, my comic earned $130.85. How do I get paid? Even though the total is $130.85, I will only see a payout of $100 on January 2022. That's because Webtoon currently pays in increments of 100, so don't worry that extra money will roll over and I'll still see that $30.85 in the next payout once my comic reaches that $100 threshold again. And before you panic, because I know at least one person watching this video might, if you make $200.01 in a month, you'll see a $200 payout, and that penny will chill for the next time you reach that $100 threshold. So the payouts work in hundreds, just wanted to make that clear. So when do they pay you? If you have the PayPal option, I am not quite sure when the payout is, but I do know for Patreon, they'll send your ad revenue earnings to your Patreon account, and it is processed whenever your Patreon earnings are processed. So for me, I see that money hit my bank account on the 5th or the 6th of the following month. So the first time I saw it was on January 6th of 2022. Pretty neat, right? So that was ad sharing as part of the ad revenue program on Webtoon Canvas. So the next thing that I'll talk about a little bit is reward ads, which is different from ad sharing. Reward ads give you the option to lock an episode behind basically like a 30-second ad. And they're pretty cool. I actually haven't reached that milestone yet, so I actually don't know as much about it. But I do know that your comic needs to hit 200,000 page views in a single month to be able to unlock that feature. And then once you have it unlocked, then you go through a little process where you upload an episode, mark it as wanting to have the reward ads available on it, and then Webtoon Canvas will review it and then approve it within, I believe, like 24 to 72 hours or something. So again, don't quote me on that one because I haven't actually made it that far to that milestone yet. But I did want to talk about it because that is a way to monetize your comic on the Webtoon Canvas platform. And then the third way that you can make money as of recording this video on Webtoon Canvas is to become a part of the Webtoon Canvas Creator Rewards Program, aka it's nice but don't rely on it, the cool extra money that you may sometimes get program. This is something I found really cool that I didn't know existed until January, but it's not tied to your ad revenue earnings at all. It's its own separate little thing. And it's basically like a performance bonus program for your comics performance. So you'll earn credit from your global monthly page views, depending on what tier you're in, and I'll show those on the screen. So there's 4 tiers. The bronze tier requires 40,000 page views, and you'll get $100 as a payout for that. The silver tier requires 200,000 page views, and you'll get $300. The gold tier is 600,000 page views, and you'll get $800. And then the platinum tier, you have to have 1.5 million page views in a single month, and you'll get the $1,000 for the Creator Rewards program. I'm currently in the bronze tier, so that means my comic hit 40,000 page views for the month, and Webtoon Canvas sent me a check for $100. And this was done through my payment option of Patreon, so I can imagine that if you have a PayPal selected, then it will turn up there instead. And this legitimately startled me because that first month I had no idea. I didn't know about the rewards program at all. And so like I had thought that my Patreon had bugged out on me. I was like, where is this extra $100 coming from? I mean, that's really cool, but where did it come from? And I probably spent like an hour or two trying to figure out where it had come from before I actually got the email, because Webtoon Canvas will send you an email if you're in the program to let you know, like, hey, we just sent you this reward program money. So, but yeah, so it was really funny and a fun little surprise in my inbox afterwards. And I'm like, oh, okay. Money is accounted for. I know where it came from now. And that one you don't have to sign up for. You're already kind of signed up for it by being a part of the ad revenue program, which is pretty cool and totally why I didn't know it was a thing until it happened. Anyway, you can find all this information on the Webtoons announcement page, and I'll link it down below, but I'll also run you through it real quick. So quick little speed round here. Some requirements for the program. You must already be approved for ad sharing. You need to update your comic at least once per month to be eligible for this bonus program. The credit amount is currently based on global monthly page views, and there's a table with the rewards breakdown, which I already talked about. There are some other stuff about payment info and how this does not roll over and how it is not part of your ad revenue. It's its own separate thing. And while I was writing the script, I actually thought that this program was going to get replaced with the rumored tipping system that they were thinking about implementing, but it looks like they updated it and it's sticking around for at least the rest of 2022. So it's really cool. Really cool. So also there might be a tipping program happening soon, but we'll see. I have no info on that, so I didn't want to include it in this list. So yeah, that's how to make money directly on Webtoon Canvas as of April, what day is it? April 24th that I'm recording this. So since the requirements for making money on Webtoon are fairly high, I would recommend not planning on making any money from your comic this way for at least the first year. This is definitely a long game type of thing, which is why I'll stress the importance of the other options later in this video. But next I want to talk about Tapas. Tapas is an alternative platform to Webtoon Canvas. There are a lot of others, but these two are the ones that I'm most familiar with. And Tapas has a low bar of entry to start earning money from your comic on their platform. In order to be part of the ad revenue program on Tapas, your comic has to have 100 subscribers. Yes, only 100, not 1,000. And there are actually no page view requirements as of recording this video. So pretty neat, right? Much lower bar to get started, but there is a catch. Tapas does have a much smaller readership than Webtoon. They're still growing, so it's harder to get people to read your comic, which is in turn less page views and less ad revenue. I was able to monetize my comic on Tapas pretty early on, but still haven't reached the payout threshold of $25. So as far as I'm concerned, I've made $0 from Tapas in the first year of posting my comic. There is hope though, and I'm definitely still for publishing on this platform because they do have something that Webtoon currently doesn't have: a tipping system. Once your comic hits 250 subscribers, you unlock the tipping ability, which means the readers can actually tip you money in the form of ink. And of the estimated $19 that I've made on my comics so far, 18 of those dollars have been actual direct support from the readers tipping ink. So you can imagine that as my reader base on Tapas grows, so will the likelihood of more people tipping and thus my comic earning money. Muffins? Just stumbling on my words today. My goodness. You might be wondering why I would even bother putting my comic on a second platform like Tapas when it hasn't earned any money. And I'll say that's a perfect segue into my last major money-making option, Patreon. There is a bonus round of other ideas near the end of this video, so stay tuned. A quick break here. If you found this video helpful, or if you have some other topics you'd like for me to cover, chime in on the comment section down below. My channel is all about my comic making adventure, so if I can help equip other artists with knowledge, inspiration, or motivation, then I'm accomplishing what I set out to do. And if you really, really like this video, please consider checking out my own webcomic, Fairy Lantern. Thanks! So Patreon is a platform where artists can be directly supported by their fans. The artists can make membership tiers and literally have their fans pay them on a monthly subscription basis. It has been the one constant moneymaker for my creative endeavors, even back before I was making my comic. Having my comic on Tapas too makes it another place to potentially have new patrons come in. So there's the worth of having your comic on multiple platforms. You'll have more potential readers and you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. And since there's the ability to schedule your comic ahead of time, there's really not a whole lot of upkeep to having your comic on a second platform, aside from responding to comments and thanking people for tipping ink. Back to Patreon. Artists can make quite a bit of money for their comic using the platform like Patreon in the form of reward tiers. So what rewards can you offer to your potential patrons? Set up a simple recurring tip jar. This is a low maintenance reward that you have to do basically nothing for. It also is the least likely to get a lot of traction because it is rare to have readers decide they want to support your comic every single month for nothing more than the eternal gratitude of the artist. These rare people do exist and I'm super grateful for them, but if you're making a Patreon, give them more excuses to support you with more than just $1. Behind the scenes. If you document your comic making journey like I do, having a behind the scenes tier is a great reward for your patrons without a whole lot of extra work on your part. A lot of readers are aspiring creators themselves and would love to see part of the process. Or you do have the curious types who just want to know what goes into making your comic. Both are great for this type of tier. Fan service tier. I call mine the fluff tier because when I think of fan service, I think of other things that we can talk about later in this video. A fluff tier can basically be fun drawings of your comic characters in different settings, outfits, alternate universes, basically a fan's treat tier. You can have a plan for what drawings you want to present in this tier on any given month and work it into your drawing schedule, or you can give your patrons in this tier the option to make direct requests. I would stick to your comic's characters so as to not lean into it becoming a commission tier, and that way the whole group can enjoy these fluff drawings. Early access to episodes. One of the more successful Patreon tiers specifically for webcomic artists, allowing your patrons to read ahead. Think about how many times you've been tempted to or have actually bought coins on Webtoons to read the originals. I totally have. I'm so guilty, especially for Remarried Empress, and I love you. But anyways, back to the point. Webtoon Canvas currently doesn't have the option for Canvas series to have a fast pass, so having a Patreon tier for it is the next best option, and probably even a better option. The only problem with this is that you need a buffer, and then you need an extra buffer on top of your buffer, and then the most discipline to not post ahead of your schedule. So I'm still working on this, but I think I will eventually have enough buffer to start a read ahead tier myself. Wallpapers. This one requires a little bit of extra work to resize the artworks, but you can offer wallpapers for desktop and mobile as a Patreon reward. Coloring book pages. If your art style leans more in the clean line art direction, having a coloring book page tier could be a good one. You can even offer panels directly from your comic, and then it's less work for you and more content for your patrons. I tried this type of tier for a little while, but since I'm more of a painter, I found myself spending too much time relining my painted artworks, and thus burnt out from the tier. It is still archived, and $5 patrons totally still have access to it, though. Not safe for work tier. To lewd or not to lewd? That is the question every artist I know comes across at least once in their journey to make money from their art. And it's so darn tempting, especially when you see comics just absolutely slaying it, making thousands with their not safe for work tier. If it's not for you, I totally understand, but I am here to tell you that it is an option. Just a very sexy option. That's as far as my experience on that type of tier go. If I ever did make a tier like this, I would make it exclusive for a set amount of months and make all the art for it ahead of time so I don't have to think about it. Physical goods. This one involves more time and work from you, the artist, which, if you know me, I'm a stay-at-home mom who works on her comic every chance I get, which is very small bursts of time here and there, so I definitely wouldn't recommend this type of tier unless you have a good chunk of time and money to dedicate towards it. But you can have a physical goods like stickers, prints, and pins to send out to your patrons once a month or every quarter. And there are a few logistics to work out, such as manufacturing, where you're going to get your physical goods made, such as a printer, pin shop, or if you're going to make them yourself at home. Packaging your goods, figuring out shipping costs, deciding if you need a higher priced tier for the international patrons, making sure your patrons actually get the goods. It's just a lot of headache, and I personally don't have the bandwidth, but that is another way to make money from your comic if you do have the time and the bandwidth for it. Patreon does also have its own merch fulfillment, which is pretty cool. I have yet to test it out to know how good or bad it is, but it does take a lot of the headache out of the physical goods tier if you want to go that route. And speaking of merch fulfillment, we'll segue out of Patreon stuff into the final option for making money that I'll cover in this video, a merch store. Places like Redbubble, Society6, and more have simple upload your artwork and you get a cut of the profits type model for artists. And there's no hassle, no product being shipped to your house and then you having to manually mail out the stuff. It's much smaller profit margins than if you did it all yourself, but you do save time that you can spend towards working on your comic. And this becomes a nice little passive income stream that can grow alongside your comic, especially if you're uploading artwork featuring your comic or your comic's characters. And now the little bonus round of stuff that is worth mentioning, but I haven't personally tried yet, so I can't really offer too much extra info on, but I'll still go through it. You can make money on Ko-fi or Ko-fi, the website. It's very similar to Patreon, but apparently better. That's just what I've heard. I don't know if it's actually better or not because I haven't tried it. You can host your comic on your own website and then drive traffic to it, much like a blog website where you have ads and affiliate links on your own website. Speaking of blogs, you can also write blogs about your comic making process. You can print physical copies of your comic and sell them at art markets or conventions. You can sell prints and merch at conventions, not just your comic. You can make a Kickstarter and have an art book up for your comic to actually physically be published. You can do a MakeShip with a plushie character, which I would recommend having a decent social media following before doing that one. I totally want to do one, by the way. You can create an art course or ebook detailing how to make your comic plus your own experiences. You can have live streams on Twitch or YouTube. Okay, so I have done this one, but not as much this past year and not directly relating to my comic, but I guess I could talk about that one in like a later video or something if I get back onto it. And then you can make videos of your comic making process, and this is the one that's in progress, so I'll let you guys also know in like a year if it was successful or not. How meta is that? My gosh. So there, quick little bonus round done. At the time of writing the script, I hadn't really found a walkthrough like this anywhere on YouTube, but when I went to start recording this, Webtoon Academy had just dropped a how to monetize your comic video, so I'll also link that down in the description if you guys haven't seen it. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm glad that they're starting to do stuff like putting together like a whole package of information for Canvas creators to be armed with more knowledge. I think it's very cool. I hope this video was helpful and brought some insight into how to make money from your webcomic. At the end of the day, you should still be focusing on making your comic the best you can, because you'll drive yourself crazy trying to make money right off the bat. It's definitely a slow build for a lot of this, so be patient with yourself and keep on chugging along. And if you find yourself overwhelmed by this info, here's a video I made talking about healthy goals to set for your comic with realistic milestones you're directly in control of. Thanks for watching. Bye!